with golden stream.
My grandmother, Minnie Martin, had gone to the old church some, and my mother worked at TW, and that's why we lived on that side of town. And we were that closer to the church then, but when it moved to Highland Street, we had no way of going because we didn't have a car. The pastor at that time was Saul Carpenter, and he found out that we wanted to come to the Highland across town, but didn't have a way, and so he and his wife, Myrtle, came every Sunday morning and picked the three of us up so we could come to church, he and his wife. And that we would not have been at Highland if it hadn't been for him because it was too far otherwise. And so that's how we got to be at Highland Baptist Church. The love and care of a pastor who every Sunday came and got us to come. And I've been there ever since. And that's a long time ago. And in 1943, when I was 9 years old, I was baptized at Highland Baptist Church by our then pastor, Reverend Roden.
We lived down on Avenue A, and we walked to Highland Church. We didn't have a car. My family didn't have a car. Saul Carpenter was the pastor. And he kept coming down to our house and talking to me and trying to get me to join the church and be saved. I said, I don't want to be a preacher. I am not going to be a preacher. Well, anyway, when I was about, I guess, 9 years old, Saul Carpenter baptized me, but we didn't have a baptistry at the church. No baptistry in the little church that we had. We did all of our baptizing at First Baptist Church down there. So that's, I guess I was baptized at First Baptist, but I'm still a member of Highland. And I've been there ever since. I've been asked to leave several times, and there's people that want me to leave, but I'm still there. And they're not, by the way. One funny thing, the church bought a bus one time. It was an old Rio bus that they bought from the city operated the bus line then. They made around and hauling or picking up people that didn't have a way in, that didn't have cars, or young people's kids. Well, my daddy, he got into everything, so he drove it for a while and no place to park it, so we parked it down on our house on Avenue A. We had a big yard. Well, while they were gone, everybody was gone that day, I'd get out there in that bus and start it up. That was the first motorized vehicle that I ever driven. It was 190 feet deep and 222 feet long. And I would back it up the driveway and back it and turn it around during the day, but then before Daddy got home, I'd park it back. Well, he come in one day and seen the tracks all over them. And I didn't get to drive it anymore.
You and I whirled the bus together when we were kids and never dreamed we'd be at this point, did we?
Yeah, we used to. We went on, I drove it on a few trips to.
Your daddy drove it. See how the Lord brought us together?
And he didn't know what to do with us.
From the time I played my first offertory when I was 10 years old, what a friend we have in Jesus. Scared to death. And I said when I was playing, Lord, if you'll get me through this song and get me off this piano bench, I won't ever do this again. Well, don't ever tell the Lord that, because I think 60 years later, I was still the church musician in Highland Baptist Church. And one day while we were still on Highland Street, the church said, we need to buy an organ. And I thought, oh, good, because I can't play an organ. Well, guess who learned to play an organ? And I spent my Saturday afternoons with my 4 little boys, practicing every Saturday afternoon while they played with Hot Wheel cars in the auditorium, running up and down the aisles, learning how to play the organ. I was not a trained musician, but when they turn something over to you and you turn it to the Lord's, somehow or another, He can take care of it. And do you have any idea how many offertories He's played with me? And my little mother, my faithful little mother, was stayed at Highland all the years too until she went to see the Lord, and babysat our kids while I played the organ and Donald sang in the choir. I served 60-something years as church musician at Highland all through the years, and so many blessings through the music. So that, and then we've had hard times like every other family, a lot of grief times, and the church has been so faithful to be with us in prayers and help us through the hard times. There's no words to explain what Highland means to us at this point in our lives.